Well, here's number 7 for my homework assignment for my math lab. Now this is another piecewise, except they're not asking you to graph it, they're asking you to find the domain and range. Well, for me, I'm going to go back to the graph. When I do domain and range from a piecewise function, for me, it's better to look at the graph. But I know there's other ways to do it. There's other ways to think about it. But I'm going to graph this line. Remember, it's just a line, y equals mx plus b. This has a slope of 1/4 x plus 0. It's got a y-intercept of 0. And then it goes up 1 and over 4. Now, luckily, this is a domain and range question. It's not a graphing question, so your graph doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to know that, hey, we have this line that kind of goes up and to the right. Now, so that's this part. Well, for the other part of this top line is x is less than 0. So this line really should have stopped right here at 0. Okay, less than is smaller than. So I'm going to erase this and clean it up a little bit. So this line should have gone and stopped. So that's pretty sloppy. I can do better. This line should have stopped right there. And so we've got half of our graph, which will help us answer the question ultimately. So then we're going to go ahead and graph the other one. The second half, that has a y-intercept of 6 and a slope of 1. Well, that means it goes up and to the right. Okay, slope of 1. And I'm not going to graph the other part of the line because this one says greater than or equal to 0. So we don't need to graph stuff that, it's just going to get erased anyway. So that's what our graph looks like. And I guess I'm not super picky about my graphs. This should have been, I'll highlight it in yellow. This should have been an empty dot technically because of this symbol up here. But it's not going to affect our answer on this. So for this one, my domain is going to be all real numbers, okay? Which basically on interval notation looks like this, because any x value is being graphed, okay? Remember, domain is your x-axis, so just think about left to right. We're graphing everything less than 0, and then it jumps up here, and we're graphing everything bigger than 0. So all of our x values are taken care of. But again, on my math lab, it's multiple choice. The next one is range. And again, to me, that looks like all real numbers because your graph is going up and down. But I just typed it in. I messed up. I'm not perfect because there is a space with this graph right here on the y-axis. This space is not being graphed, right? When you think about the y-axis going up and down, so there's gonna be a jump to it. We have this lower half, and then we have this upper half is the way I think of it. So our range is going to look something like this: -infinity up to 0. And remember, that's supposed to be an empty dot at 0. And then it jumps up to, what was that y-intercept? Was it a 6? Yeah, it jumps up to 6. And then it goes on to infinity. So let's see what my math lab says about that one. So it says, well done. That's the correct choice. So just be careful, like I just made a mistake. Be careful and look at the graph carefully. I do domain and range with piecewise with graphs, but there are other ways.